Alright folks, this is Jim Dedman, Saw Logs Plastic Hubs, and I hope you're having a great week being housebound. A friend of mine brought this job over, and in part one you seen how I took some highly unlikely material because I had it and made it. I beat that horse in part one. So what you're going to see here in part two is mostly all the lathe work done, the way I done this. And it was some really interesting setups to do this little angle. So again, if you didn't catch part one, what these are spacers that work on the bottom of a automotive engine. These allow the adaptation of a fairly common aluminum pulley system that used on a General Motors car to a Ford. And the reason behind that is it's harder to find the pulleys. A friend of mine who runs Ford in vintage racing, which is something like a steel-bodied car with a late model light car of the early 70s that raced in this area. So that's what this is for. Most of it. It may be, I'm also hearing they may run a certain kind of limited late model and put one of these engines in it. Not sure what the plan is. All I know is I'm making these parts up. So with that being said, hope you sat back and enjoyed the lathe work. If there's some sound issues on some of this, I plugged the mic in the wrong place. So you may still get some sound. It may not be as good as normal. I'm just going to go ahead and apologize in advance. So with all that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Get the kiddies, the wife, the neighbors, the dog, and let's sit back and watch this thing. I'll come back and tell you bye. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay this stuff out and we're going to saw it. So what I've done is I set it on the thickness, which is not important right now, but I'm going to go about 100, and I'm going to go 100 because we're going to cut most of this off of one side. So that's 100, right at 100 thousandths. And I've already blue, or actually red dicum this thing, marked it with red dicum. Hey, Mr. Pete, there's your color. And all I'm going to do here is make me a scribe mark. Line my saw up on each side of it. Since I've already got one face to work with, that's the way. And then we can cut this off. So now I have two scribe marks. Okay, I've got the setup made. And you may have asked, and I think it's a good time to repeat this because I don't know how many parts this video will be in. What I decided to do is to machine everything but the lengths on both of these parts. And the reason more or less I've done that is for transferring the holes and for drilling it. Also, this is pretty big. It's really hard to cut off the cutoff tool. And there probably may have to be some soft jaws involved to machine these things as thin as they are. I haven't really got all that figured. I kind of think that's what I'm going to have to do. So with all that being said and in mind, what I've done is, you see me a minute ago lay it out. I've got a scribe mark that I've set the saw with. I put a fresh blade on so I'll have a nice sharp blade. So hopefully I won't get much deflection, and we're going to saw this thing off. We're allowing about 100 thousandths extra just to be safe. And with a sharp blade like this, we may not get much walk. The blades are straight, but one thing about these blades, they get a little dull and they'll tend to walk and cut crooked. There's a setup with the saw set up from the front. This is going to be a slow process. I'm going to monitor this one just to be safe. Alright, this isn't necessary because all this is for clearance. I want this to look a lot better. So now I'm just going to pop the door through it just to clean up that nasty looking drill stuff inside of it. And then we're going to move on to the next part. That's just to clean it up so it wouldn't look like Fido's hind end. So now we'll work from there to get the next step and move right on. This is my setup figure of my OD. I've done moved it 100. I'm going to move it about 950, which is about, that's going to leave me about 30 thousandths or so to the OD. That's 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, 950. That way I'll have a reference mark. So we'll take this off. I'll run this up there and see how that's going to look. Make a little mark right here for a reference. Oh, let me slow down. I was turning this thing to board, so let me hit it at slower speed. It's about 600. Let me hit a little reference mark. Check that size out. See where I'm at. Just give me a reference, and then we'll come right on back. Any adjustments we got to make. Okay. What we'll do is we'll cut this down to that dimension and work from there. Now, I've already done this off camera, but what I've done is I've set this up to where I guess 100, and it should be about 55 thousandths. See where it stops. I'll lock it. I'll just kind of move the camera on the tripod over to the work stop, and you see how I've set it. Now I've got both sets of references to work with. So now I'm starting to face it off. I'm going to take several passes. See, I have a witness mark and a 0 set here. So now, this is actually going to be a little big, and we'll turn this down to size. Because since I'm just sort of roughing this thing out right now, and I'm going to start taking multiple passes till I get it roughed out. Alright, now we're facing it backwards. I've got the OD turned down to the size I want it to be. And my clutch is slipping because dummy me didn't take the indicator out. So I double check all this after this, and I should have this first step in. My radius is going to be smaller. It looks like I used a 2 radius. It looks like I'm using a 1. So it looks like it's, you know. So that's going to be the feature of this side. Then I will come back later and put a taper in it with a boring bar. Might end up figuring that out and do that right now while I got it chucked on this side. So. Like they put a big round. I think I'm just going to put a 29 or 30 degree taper in it and be done with it. Okay, let me check everything, see how it looks. Alright, here I'm going out. This is my last little pass on this paper in the front. There it is. So we got that detail in it now. So we have a taper in the front like the original. We got the steps. All the corners are filed, so I just got to flip it over to the other side. Alright, now one thing I'm going to tell you, let me just stop this before I face it. If you remembered earlier, I made a blue mark in which aligning everything up #1 jaw. So these parts are going to be as true as my chuck. There's not a real super concentricity thing that has to be done here. However, it's better to always be safe. So we're going to go ahead. We're only like about 50 thou. So let me remember I had this facing backwards a minute ago, which we will do that again too. And I'm taking 45 on this cut. So this one will be 45 thousandths. And then I'll come back and check the size, and if I got to make an adjustment, we'll get 5 more thousandths here. Alright, that's spaced off. I'll check the size. Not even with me holding off, I'm dead nuts. That's why I held off 5 thousandths, just in case. Now what I'm going to do next is like I did the other side. I'm going to get the other indicator to set it up, and I'm going to figure the depth out to give me a rough mark for this other piece. Alright, we're starting the other side. I've already made me a witness mark. And so what we're doing now is just getting this roughed out. We're on the short rows of this part. We've about got this one ready to go out the door. We'll get this turned down, get it deburred, and this is going to be ready to send right on out to the customer. I'm just double checking this, make sure it's bigger. And it is by a good bit, which we'll turn this down. So now all I gotta do is finish getting the step in, which is the good thing. Okay, I hit the OD size, and now I'm just pulling up the face to pull it out all perfect, and we'll get the little deburring done. We'll have this part will be complete. It'll be ready out. Then we just got to go to work on the thin ones. I've got 2 of the thin ones already sawed, and I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with the blank before we saw the other ones out. What I done is I just held off, you know, about 10, just a couple of thousandths or so, just by backing off the stock. And that way I let when I went in to cut the OD, it'll all blend up pretty good. There we go. Okay, I'm just gonna go in here with my deburr tool. Put a nice chamfer right there. I've got these hit with the file, so there's no sharp edges. I'm going to hit this one here a little more. Don't look like I've got a good edge on it with the file. Alright. It just has little corner breaks. Alright, now all I got to do is deburr the holes, and that spacer's done. So there's the spacer so far. I'm going to run over to deburr it. I'm going to do it the easy way. It's hold loose. Hey, off camera, I bored these parts out. The main reason I've done that is because I want to get these I want to have to cut this angle at a later date. So really, this is not going to be that complicated. But really, all I've got to do is to face these parts off. One side of these have already been machined, or already. So as long as my part's true up against the chuck here on this, I'm good to go. And that's what I got to look at. I'm true there. So that's what the soft jaws is for, to hold this part. These are going to have tapers machined in them, which I'm going to do as a separate operation. So we'll get cutting here in a second. I'm beginning the facing process right now. And all I'm doing is facing these parts off first to get a true surface. And I'm going to take big cuts as I'm not holding on very much. I'm not going to be aggressive with it. So I'm going to basically get this first part facing down to, or get it cleaned and figure out where I got to go from there. Get the proper thickness. And the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to go ahead and just make them both, or all three, when the other gets finished sawing. And I'm going to face all three of them off. Then we're going to come back and we're going to cut the tapers. Kind of imperative to get the part clean. And I allowed probably 100-something thousandths for saw drill. The part is actually true on the backside. It's not clean. You can see it's got an interrupt and it's still wobbling. So we'll work on it. Worked on this angle by trial and error actually. So now what I'm doing, excuse me a minute, is I've got an angle and I'm trying to get an idea. Okay, I'm about 110. So I need about 60 thousandths. So what I'm doing is I got an indicator down here and I'm kind of working from basically down here and taking 20. So I know I need to take about 60 thousandths off. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of work with it. This is an awkward position to be in to work. So you see I got the compound picked at some real crooked angle. So to do this, I'm kind of working. Now let's go back. Once I get this figured out, it's like the other two will be easy. The first one's always the hardest. So we know we need about at least 60,000. Get roughly what we want. My angle's not going to be exact like the originals. It's going to be awful darn close. I'm going to be within a couple of degrees. I'm assuming this is for clearance. I know nothing rides against it. That's why mine's going to be a little bit different from the others. The other one's right up on the holes, and mine probably won't be, but it's going to be as close as I can get it. Probably another 10, 15 thousandths, and that's going to get it to us. So what I'm doing is using stops and indicators to get kind of what I'm looking for. And I'm going to back this off a little bit more. Make sure I get some clearance. And now we'll go the other way. I think that's going to be it. I'm going to just come back across it for a little finishing curve. Really hard to do this. Manipulate these drills to get this finish you want. That's difficult. I'm going to take 2 or 3 spring passes here just to try to get a good finish on this form. And check that. I may polish it a little bit with some Scotch-Brite to give me just exactly what I want here. Then we'll move on to the next one. I'm thinking that's pretty dang much what we want. Yeah, that's it. That's close. It's a little thinner, but I'm gonna get me some back out and get me some Scotch-Brite and polish it a bit. Okay, this is your buddy Jim, and I hope you enjoyed today's video. I broke this video into 2 parts because I wanted to show the whole process as I've said along. The second part, if some of the sound is not perfect, I may have not got my mic plugged in the right slot. I noticed it as I tucked the camera down, so if I did, I apologize. So here's what we've got. This part here is one of the machining parts, and this is probably the most trickiest thing I've ever machined, just because how thin it is and this angle that had to be cut on it. It was a little bit of a challenge for me to figure it out. So that's why I wanted you to see this in video. So I just this angle wasn't precise. I tried to get it close. It's really such an included angle, it's hard to get it exactly. I just kind of worked with the compound and measured and got it. So we've got a really good replica here, and I think it'll do the job. So we'll see how the client feels about it and he gets it. So with all that being said, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Production of James Dedman Sawlogs Plastic Hubs for your entertainment, enjoyment, and some viewing pleasure. I don't know how much education. So if you got something to say, make comment. If you hadn't subscribed, please do so. If you're subscribed and know somebody else would be interested, turn them on to my channel. With all that being said, I hope you all have a great day. Hope you all been safe in this epidemic we've got going around. And with all that, let's just hope and pray that we get through this thing. Till that next video, you all have a great day.